In this video, we'll be learning about Python. So there are multiple ways in which we can run the Python code. The first one is from terminal. So in our case, this is our terminal. What we can do to run our Python code is by typing Python, and we'll get such an shell of Python wherein we can actually run our code. So as you can see here, it is Python 3.8.5 version, and here actually we can easily run whatever Python code that we want to. So this is a simple way to run a code. It is not used as such, but it can be used when you're when you quickly want to test some Python code. So in our case, let us see some code running here. So hello world is our first program, and as you can see that we have written this code, print hello world, and this gives us the hello world as output, so it is printing it. To exit this shell, we can simply press Ctrl D, or we can write exit, and we'll be out of the shell. So other method is to simply create a Python file. So let us call this Python file as hello.py, and let us write some code here. So what we can do is we simply save this file, and when we want to run this particular code, Python code, what we can do is we can simply write Python hello.py in our terminal, and it will run the code. So this is one way that is mostly used right now. There is also one more way in which we can run the Python code. So that is by using Jupyter Notebook. So this is a Jupyter Notebook, and here also we can simply write some code, print hello world from Jupyter Notebook, and if we simply press shift and enter, we'll see that this code is executed. So we have created our first Python program called as hello world. So this does nothing but provides some output using print function. So the next thing that we want to understand is Python. In Python, it is not very similar to different languages regarding syntax. So if you have worked with some other programming languages, you might have seen that, say for example, say JavaScript. So it will be something like if, and some condition will be here, and then they use some curly braces, and inside it you write your code. But with Python, that is not the case. We do not use curly braces. We don't use even semicolons. What we do in Python is we use something called as indentation. So what is that? I will give you an example by writing some code. So say if 6 is greater than 10, which is of course not true, print this is not possible, else print 6 is less than 10. So if you simply see the code, like the structure of the code, you can see that here we have not used any kind of curly braces, but rather what we have done is we have used some kind of indentation. So in our case, in this particular case, we have used tab, but some people also like to use spaces. That is not a problem, just that you need to make sure that you use one of them throughout the code. So let us run this code, and you'll see that this particular code runs. So this is about the basic syntax of Python. Now let us learn about how comments are written in Python. So single line comments might be like using this hashtag. So this is a comment. Whatever you write in this line, that code won't be executed. So for example, hashtag, let us say you are writing some code, hello. So this particular code won't be executed. But what you can also do is print hello world. This is also possible. Here you'll see that only hello world will be printed. There are also some different ways, like to write multi-line comments. What we can do is we can use triple quotes, and we can write any comment we want here. Okay, so now we have learned about what comments are. Now let us try to understand what are variables in Python. What do you understand by variables? So variables are something whose value can be changed at any point of time. So let us take an example what variables are all about. So let us say we write this code, hello AI champ. Now we can see here that, okay, we are saying hello to AI champ. But what if we want this thing as variable, so that in our code, whatever the variable's value would be, our greetings would be to that variable. So let us say name. So this name is, we are defining it as a variable. And for this moment, let us start with AI champ only and do this. So as you can see here that we have used this variable name. So we have defined our variable here, and we're using that variable here. And let us try to run this code, and you'll see that it is still printing hello AI champ. But now let us see this is changed. So the output will be hello changed. So as you might have understood that this is a variable and this is where we are using its value. Any kind of program that we generally build, we use a lot of variables so that we get some data that is changing from user input or some database, or that is calculated using some time or any other factors. So the variable's value is decided before its execution. So moving forward, now we have understood variables. We also need to understand there are like a lot of different data types in Python. So what are data types? So you might have heard about strings. So what is strings? Strings, some kind of text. So there are integers, there are strings, there are integers, there are float numbers. So float numbers are basically decimal points, decimal numbers. So there are booleans, there are lists, and etc. Okay, so let us try to understand what all these things are. So let us say this is a and we give it as some text data. And if you want to see what kind of data type this variable is about, we can simply check it by using this type method. And if we run this particular code, we'll see that, okay, so this is some sort of string. So str is for string. Then let us take another example. So b is equals to 43. So now we take type of b. Here we are able to see that, okay, this is integer. Let us call new variable c is equals to 55.4 and see its type. So it is called as float. Let us take another variable d. Let us call it as see that. So it is boolean, bool. E, let us see the type of e. So this is a list. So inside list we can have different kind of data types. So this is integer, this is string. So let us say even we try this dictionaries. Let us call it name abcd and price 45. And if we see type of f, we'll see that this is a dictionary. But also what we can try is forget all of this. Right now let us check type of e and first element. So first element is denoted by 0. Let us see type of e of 1. Let us also see type of f name and type of f price. So we'll see that this particular element 43, this is an integer, that is correct. So type of e1 is this particular element, which is a string. Type of f name, so this is also a string, so that is why string. And this is for price, which is 45, which in turn is an integer. That is how we can check different data types. Now, since we have some mathematical data types like integer, so obviously we have some mathematical functions also. So the most common functions are addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, exponential, and modulus. So let us write them down. So addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, exponentials, modulus. So these are like very common operations in mathematics. So these all we can easily do with Python. So let us take some numbers. Let us call this number 1 is equals to, let us say 10, and number 2 is equals to 2. So let us try perform addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, etc. So number 1 plus number 2 is addition. So let us try to print that. So yeah, that is 12. Let us simply print everything. Addition is number 1 plus number 2. Then subtraction is number 1 minus number 2. Then division is number 1 divided by number 2. So this is like normal division. Then there is a floor division as well, wherein we use this operator. We can also do multiplication, that is number 1 star number 2. Exponentials, we can use 2 stars, so that is basically 10 to power 2. Then modulus, so modulus is nothing but remainder when we divide number 1 by number 2. So let us try to run this code and see the output. So as you can see here, that the addition of number 1 and number 2 is 12, subtraction is 8, division is 5, floor division is 5, but you'll see that this is float and this just an integer. Multiplication is 20, exponential is 100, moduli is 0 because the remainder when we divide 10 by 2 is 0. To tell you the difference between floor division and normal division, let us take some other numbers. Let us call this 9 and 2 and run this code again. So you'll see that when we use this normal division operator, our output is float. Our output is in decimal points, so it is kind of float, but this is just giving us the quotient. And you can also see that the modulus is 1. So when we divide 9 by 2, So 4 times are 8, and there is always 1 as a reminder. So that is why this operator is providing output as 1 modulo operator. So now that we know a lot of things about Python right now, so there is one more thing that is important, that is if and else condition. And else, so how that is done is, suppose there is a kind of condition. So if, now there might be written something here, so let us call this something that is true or false. Some condition is written here. So let us say that, let us take a variable a is equals to 20. Now let us say that if this particular variable a is greater than 15. So what will happen is, we'll see that variable a is greater than 20. Otherwise, variable a is less than 15. Okay, greater than or greater than 15. So is less than or equal to. In this particular case, if we try to evaluate this particular condition, if we know that the value of variable a is 20, so that obviously is true, right? 20 is greater than 15. So that means that this particular code will be executed. Yeah, so this particular code is executed after if. But in case if it was not the case, so let us say that a is 15. So now 15 is not greater than 15. So that does means that no, this particular condition is not true. So that is why I'm not going to run this code, but rather I'm going to run something from else part. Now there can be multiple things here also. There is not just if and else, but rather it is if, else if, and else. So we can write some more if conditions using else if. So let us say else if a is greater than or say less than, but simply put 10. So then we can say that variable a is between 11 to 15, and in this particular case, so it will be 10. So what this else if is about, so in our condition, we'll start with this particular if condition. If this is true, then this code will run. But in case if it is not true, then it will go here. It will try to see else if conditions. And if this particular condition is true, then this code will run. And if everything else, like all the ifs and else if conditions are not true, then this code written in else part runs. So let us try to see what happens. So this should be elif, not else if. So here you can see that the variable a is between 11 to 15. Let us try to see giving this variable 10. Then it says that variable a is less or equal to 10. Let us try with something bigger, 25. Then variable a is greater than 15. Only this code runs because this particular condition is true, and rest all things are not true. So now you have understood if, elif, and else. So what we can try to do is, let us try to write a code that tells whether a number is even or odd. So how we can do it is, let us take any number. So let us take it as a variable. So number is 10. So it can be anything. So we assume that this is some kind of input that we are getting from somewhere. And we want to tell that whether or not this particular number is even or odd. So what we can do is, we simply write if condition number, and we take the modulus, and we take modulus with 2. So what will happen is, if this number is even, so all the numbers are divisible by 2. So that means that the answer should be equals to 0. So in such scenario, the number is even, otherwise it is odd. So the code is very simple. What is happening is, we are checking this particular number and dividing it by 2 and taking its remainder. So we know that if the remainder is 0, that means that number is fully divisible by 2. So that actually means that it is an even number, otherwise it is an odd number. So we can try and test also. So this is 10, so that is it is even. Let us take with 17, so it is odd. So that's about it for now. Further, we'll try to learn more about loops and many more things related to Python. Thank you for your time.